Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a story about a nation under some serious pressure. We're going to look at how the political climate is spilling over and having very real, very human consequences for everyday people. It's a story of fear and division, for sure, but also one of some pretty incredible resilience. Let's get right into it.
This quote from Minnesota's Governor Tim Walz, well, it really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. What happens when all the political talk stops being some abstract debate on TV and becomes, like he says, a fundamental moral issue for the people who are actually living through it?
So, to really get what this pressure feels like, we have to start on the ground. We have to look at the flashpoints where these tensions are just at their most raw.
Okay, so look at this contrast. On the one hand, you have the official line for Operation Metro Surge in Minnesota. They say they're targeting the worst of the worst. But then, on the other hand, you hear about the human impact, a whole community living in fear. We're talking reports of people being too scared to go to the doctor. Even a story about a 5-year-old being used to lure a parent out. This gap between the official purpose and the reality on the ground, that's a theme you're going to see again and again.
And these tensions, they're not just simmering under the surface, they are boiling over into actual violence. This was a really shocking incident down at the president's Mar-a-Lago residence. A man with a shotgun tried to get past security and was killed. And this isn't some random one-off event. Analysts are pointing to a really disturbing trend of politically motivated violence, and it's targeting figures on all sides.
For so many people, this fear is becoming a part of their daily lives. I mean, just listen to this quote. It really captures what the Asian American community is dealing with right now. For them, something as simple as taking a walk in your own neighborhood can be filled with anxiety. And living with that constant state of alert, it's more than just exhausting. It's just fundamentally wrong.
And for some folks, what's happening today is bringing back some really dark, painful memories from history. When this Japanese-American woman says it feels like her childhood all over again, she's talking about being sent to an internment camp during World War II. It's just a powerful reminder that for many communities, this isn't some new fear. It's a painful old one coming back.
So, you have to ask, what are the political forces that are fueling all this? To get a sense of that, let's zoom out for a minute and take a look at the view from Washington. All right, so the president is getting ready to deliver his State of the Union address, but look at the political environment he's walking into. This poll shows that 56% of Americans disapprove of his job performance. That's a really tough spot to be in when you're trying to deliver a message of national unity.
Now, no doubt, the administration is going to use that speech to highlight what they see as their biggest wins. Things like immigration policy, tariffs, a more assertive foreign policy. But here's the thing. As you can see here, for every one of those so-called wins, there's a pretty significant challenge sitting right next to it, from those low approval ratings to a really furious opposition.
And this isn't just about what's happening at home anymore. Critics like Rahm Emanuel are arguing that the U.S. is now basically exporting its political dysfunction, and that's shaking things up on the world stage. The big takeaway here is that the divisions inside the country are now creating ripples all across the globe.
But you know what? That is not where this story ends. Not even close. Because right in the middle of all this fear and division, you start to see these absolutely incredible stories of resilience, of the human spirit pushing back.
Okay, check out this story from Pennsylvania. It's pretty remarkable. So Governor Josh Shapiro is at home celebrating a Passover Seder with his family. Then his home is targeted in an anti-Semitic arson attack. It's just awful. But instead of hiding, he came out swinging. He held a press conference and then, that very night, defiantly held a second Seder.
And this quote, this gets right to the heart of why what he did was so powerful. He knew that the whole point of an attack like that is to intimidate, to make an entire community feel scared. So by standing up publicly and saying, "I am not afraid," he was sending a message to every single person feeling threatened. Don't let hate win. Don't let it stop you from living your life.
And this kind of strength isn't just coming from politicians. It's happening at the grassroots level, in our neighborhoods. In response to the rise in anti-Asian hate, people are taking practical steps. They're carrying personal alarms, neighbors are organizing walking buddies, families are escorting each other to run errands. It's just a powerful example of communities refusing to give in to fear and deciding to protect their own.
So all of this, it brings us to the most important question of all, right? Where do we actually go from here? When a nation is under this much pressure, what does a path forward even look like? When you look at the news every day, it is so easy to feel pessimistic. It's easy to think it's all just division and fear. But it's so important to remember that's not the whole story. There are also these stories of unity and achievement happening, even if they don't always get the big headlines.
Just take the recent Winter Olympics, for example. Right in the middle of all the political noise, we saw these moments that just brought people together. An American athlete ended a 50-year medal drought. Brazil won its first ever winter medal. Now, these might seem like small things, but there are these little reminders that we can still share experiences, that we can still celebrate together, even in divided times.
And that really brings us to our final thought, and it's another powerful quote from Governor Shapiro. At the end of the day, the key takeaway from all of this might just be that even when things seem really dark, it's our response that matters most. It's the choice to find and create light that determines what happens next. And so, the final question is really for all of us. Where will we find that light?